Crystal with Red Hot Stampers, and I want to show you my planner for the month. So I'm using the new in colors, and I made the header stickers on my own. So if you're interested in those, let me know. I'm pulling in the Tea Boutique Designer Series paper because that's a quick and easy way to add some images and a variety of colors. It's already done for me. So I'm just looking through the pack, and I'm going to choose just a few that are kind of bigger, bolder patterns that don't have a lot of busyness in them. So I'm going to trim those to fit the bottom of my planner where I usually use like my washi stickers that I've made. One other thing that I need to grab are my Stampin' Write markers. They come in a pack of all 5 colors, so it makes it easy for my writing to coordinate with the images and the colors in the paper. So I measure on mine, it's going to be different on everybody's planner, but mine measured 1.25 inches. I'm going to trim it to 1 1/8 inch just to give myself a little bit of wiggle room with the border on the bottom. So I'll trim those for each one of my weeks. Oh, and the adhesive that I'm using is liquid adhesive because it's a little bit more forgiving. So I can stick it on, but then still slide it if it's not exactly where I want it. So that's what I'm using. Feel free to use your favorite adhesive. It doesn't really matter, but that's just a benefit of the liquid adhesive. So here's the other papers. I'm going to go with this one because it has that really pretty new color that it looks like a watermelon wonder. It's darker. It's really gorgeous. That one is called Sweet Sorbet. I have to remind myself of the colors. Now notice my images aren't lined up perfectly on the bottom. You can take the time to trim the paper and get them to line up, but for me it wasn't that big of a deal. So I'm using these flowers, so it's Sweet Sorbet, and I'm not sure what that softer pink is, but I'm not using it in ink. It's just an extra color there, although it is on the back. So Blushing Bride maybe? Anyway, so see my florals don't really line up, but that was fine with me. It wasn't that big of a deal. Another thing that you can do is save your scraps when you're making things with paper and just have a box of paper to pull from, and you can trim them. A lot of times they'll be this size already, but this would be a great way to use your scraps, especially if you have just a few leftover pieces in your stack of paper. Now this one I'm going to do vertically. I really liked the images there. It's a little bit thicker. Always be sure to measure. My dad would say, measure twice, cut once. It's paper though, so it's not going to break the bank if we mess up. Now I'm going to stamp on the top here this really pretty, like these are the stems and leaves of the flowers. This one didn't quite work. Make sure you add either a piece of cardstock behind or a piece of chipboard is what I usually use. See, this one's messy. Doesn't even matter because it's just to make a little bit more of a flat surface. Now I'm using this image of the flowers, and it has all the flowers all at once. I can just stamp it and just add a pop of color to those green leaves. Oh, and that green is called Parakeet Party. It's a lighter, brighter lemon lime twist. I love this color. All of these in colors, they are like new and improved of some of our old colors. This one, Tahitian Tide, is very similar to Tempting Turquoise. Very similar, actually. So I'm really glad that we have that option again. All right, now Sweet Sorbet. This one is a little bit more bold than the soft blues and purples. So I'm going to add just one flower at a time with this little stamp. That one didn't quite get. It's hard when I can't lean over. You're going to get like my head in the whole video. Nobody wants that. So, and then for my month at a glance, I leave a lot of white space because I do need to see what's going on during the month. So I'm just adding a little accent to some of the important days like Easter or Earth Day or my birthday. And then I've used the header stickers to kind of outline, different things going on the days that I sub. Here's one of the days that I'm going to sub in my kids' class. There's Earth Day, so I gotta make that one pretty. And then I go ahead and add some of my hand lettering. So if you don't like hand lettering, you can use alphabet stamps. Ooh, we have a great one in the catalog that would be perfect for your planner. I like to use my Stampin' Write markers. I use the thin side, and I'll write my word starting in the middle to make sure I have enough space for the whole entire word. So I outline it, and then I'll add stripes, and then I kind of go in with the paintbrush side and make part of it bold. This is like my go-to handwriting, I guess. So here's where I go in and make it a little bit more bold on the thin sides. So there's our spring break. I was just checking to make sure it didn't bleed through. Some of them do, and that's okay. I can just add it. I really liked this flower image as a border, so it doesn't just have to be flowers on the leaves, but it kind of, you know, makes spring break pop because that's the highlight of our month. So I was just trying to decide what other little images to use. I'm just going to add a little bit more handwriting for the important days. My birthday, my 45th birthday. And then here we were in California, so I'm going to add California, just so that when I'm flipping through, it's easy to remember what we did that month. So I'm going to make the holidays a little bit more bold. They're not very bold in this particular planner, so like everything's gray, so I'm just going to add a little bit more color to make those stand out. And then for my week, see those flowers bled through. I think it's because it was brand new, super juicy ink pads. So one thing you can do to prevent that is to stamp off. So stamp somewhere else before stamping onto your planner. Oops, and that one. So if you're stamping on like the left side of the page, usually I flip it backwards so that I have a completely flat surface on my table or desk, but that one I didn't. So I stamped and then colored in with my marker. The lighter colors don't usually bleed through, like you're a little bit more safe using those. So that Parakeet Party, not a problem coloring with my Stampin' Write marker. And then here I'm going to stamp just a little lime because I'm not using yellow. I don't like how it's kind of floating off the cup though. I needed to shift it over, but there wasn't room, so I'm going to try to layer that with one of the dies. I really like the little tags. They're super cute. So I'm going to add one of those, and then I'm going to add another cup, just cut out of paper up at the top, just to make it a little bit more bold. The lines will be a little bit thicker if I use a die cut. And again, whatever adhesive you use, you know, is fine. I use the liquid adhesive on this, and I'll show you a little trick. You have to watch quick because I have the video sped up, but I'll dab little dots of glue in the thick parts of the paper, and then I'll just tap it off onto a scratch piece of paper. That way the glue doesn't bleed all out when I stick it down on my planner. So I like the little tag there. I'm going to have to add a piece of baker's twine coming out of the cup. Kind of balances that funky lime. So there's my die cut, and here's where I tap it off onto a scratch piece of paper so that it doesn't ooze everywhere. So there's my cup, and see how I could pick it up because it's liquid glue, it doesn't adhere permanently right away. So I could pick it up and kind of tilt it a little bit because I forgot I was going to flip the cup the other way, but it's not a big deal. I'm going to add a third cup with the stamp, or with the stripes. I love stripes. I'm going to add it in a lighter color. And Fresh Freesia is one of last year's in colors, but it is in the paper, and that's what I was pointing to, is that you can look and see exactly the colors that are in your paper so that you can make them match perfectly. This one, it's okay that went over my writing because it's a lighter color. So there's just a little bit like some balanced teacups there. Put one over on this side too, just to add a little bit more, you know, not dimension, but just a little bit more images, a little bit more color. And this was when we were in Universal Studios, so I had to add a little lime wedge there. Okay, now on this one, I'm going to stamp, I think, I'm going to look at, the weekend is actually my birthday and Easter, so I'm going to stamp these stems and leaves again and just kind of connect the weekend. because I know, I mean, we'll have things to do, but it's not like I'm not going to have a to-do list on my birthday. So I'm going to stamp that. And then this time when I do the flowers, I don't want them all the same color. So I'm going to use my Stampin' Write markers. I'm going to use the thick side. You can see the thicker line, the thicker white line on the marker shows you which side is the paintbrush side. So I'm just painting right on there, and then just make sure you kind of breathe on that before you stamp to prevent the ink from beading up and not spreading out nice. So I'm just going to write on there birthday. Then over here I'll write Easter in my go-to font, but then I'm going to, instead of doing stripes, I'm going to color it in. So there's my handwriting. Still needs some color, so I think what I'm going to do is use this cute little tag image and just stamp some random tags in my, this is my to-do list section in the middle. So I'll do that, and then there is an outline stamp for an outline tag, but it was bigger than what I wanted, so I'm just going to use my markers and just kind of freehand around them. So just add some more color there, and then I messed up on this next one, but then I added the extra line and I ended up really liking it. Kind of made it look like it was shadowed, so I liked that. And then I was trying to decide like if I wanted to use dies, but I really liked these teapots, so I'm just going to fussy cut them. I'm going to fussy cut the ones that are full teapots and not kind of, you know, pieces. So I'm going to fussy cut those and then just line those up on the side. And as I was gluing these, I just used my liquid adhesive for the whole thing. It's really like multi-purpose adhesive, but what I thought of is that I could have used my Xyron for these pieces, and that would have been okay. That would have, yeah. So I think I'll use my Xyron in the future when I do like fussy cut pieces like this, or even die cuts. I for sure didn't want to waste it all on like the washi strips on the bottom. So that teapot was too small, so I threw it out. So now I'll just glue these in. I do like that I can place them down and kind of get an idea where they're going, even if I don't end up putting them exactly there. It gives me an idea for that. So now I'm going to stamp on this side. I think I want to do another one of those striped teacups. Well, first I'm going to stamp some leaves for Earth Day and just on the side to balance it out a little bit. So there's my Earth Day leaf. That's perfect for my planner size. And then over here I'm going to do a teacup, and I should have done it on the bottom, but it still needed color on the top, so I don't know. Stamping is a little bit less forgiving. You can't erase stamping. You can cover it up, but you can't erase it. So now I'm looking, should I cover it up with something? I loved these images with the envelopes, and I think I do have an envelope stamp in my collection, but I just wanted to stick with these products that I had out, and so I could go look for it later, but you know, we'll make do with what we have out. So I boundary punched that. It was a little bit wider than the punch, so I just snipped the edges there to make it work. I don't like how that looks, so I'm going to move it over to the other side, and I do like that, so I'm going to keep that one there. But this side still needs some color, so here's a little tag. I'll add that somewhere, and then from the stamps I can use that leaf. I should have put my chipboard back there. And I'm also going to add a little lime wedge, because again, I'm not doing lemons with yellow. So I'm going to add a little lime wedge underneath the cup like it's sitting on the saucer, even though I don't have a saucer. I could freehand it, but I'm not going to. So I'm going to add this little lime wedge and just kind of add, it just needs color, and I'm not in love with how it turned out, but it's okay. Once I get the writing in there, that turns into the focal point, and the colors and the stamping and the paper is really just highlighting what I write in my planner anyway. So there's that side. I'm going to glue that down and be done with that week. It's not my favorite design, but it works, and I do love some pieces of it, so it's fine. All right, now this last week, see that one did bleed through, and I want to make sure, so there's that leaf that bled through as well. I could stamp over it, or I could just layer some other paper on it. So here's some teapots pieces, not a lot of full ones, but I'm going to use the pieces and just kind of play with the lines there, which I really love. I actually really love it. So that that fresh freesia teapot that's like the top half of it, that's my favorite. I love that it's just kind of peeking out over the line. So, and that kind of makes my wheat blend together instead of being, you know, like rigid lines. So I really liked how this one turned out. So I'm going to trim those. I'm going to use my liquid adhesive. Again, a Xyron would be perfect for this part, for this page. So I'm going to cut those out, glue those down, and then I'm done. I've done my whole month. And the video did take me an hour and a half, but obviously I sped it up. I just wanted to see you, I wanted to show you my process beginning to end. Nothing planned, I just kind of pull out my products and play with them. So I hope you enjoy. Here's a quick flip through again, and it was fun.